Now moving on to the next topic of discussion, and now we're talking about retail, the pickup in consumption seen during Diwali. So joining in are Nilesh Gupta, Director at Vijay Sales, and Pushpa Bector, Senior Executive Director at DLF Retail. And we will be discussing with both of them the festive season sales, the incremental sales, especially on account of the GST cut, and the demand trends across categories and how they see growth panning out for them. Thank you very much, Pushpa and Nilesh, for joining in. Mr. Gupta, let me get in the numbers with you. What have been the festive season sales for you at Vijay Sales this time around? How does it compare with the prior year? And if you could break it up category by category.
So good morning, everybody. I think this has been one of the most good-looking, or I would say the best festive season in the last 1 decade. Primarily because of the GST cut, and also because the festive mood was around, the consumer sentiment was on all-time high. And in the initial first 10 days of Navratri, from 22nd onwards, we saw very high turnout. For the simple reason is 15 days prior, people had stopped buying electronics for the simple reason because the rate was coming down. But nevertheless, even if you account for the pent-up demand, which took place from 22 to 30th till the Dussehra, if we cut that off also, we have seen a high growth of 20% over last year. Now, this is a growth on a good base. Normally, we don't see more than 8 to 10% growth. So we have seen double the growth which we have seen. Leading the pack in the category-wise, if you ask me, it is basically the televisions, because television above 32 got the maximum benefit of 10%, just like air conditioners and dishwashers. But people were all out wanting to buy large screens. And I think more than the GST cut, along with the GST cut, they got an excuse to buy that 65 inches, 75 inches, and even people have bought 100 inches, which used to be a rarity earlier. So I think overall the television has benefited the most. Air conditioners was good, but it could have been better. But because the weather was not so conducive, that's why we'll see a lot of action in the air conditioning category during the summer 26. Dishwashers has become now at least one of the staple product, at least in the metros, where I think when a person is doing up the house, how he buys a washing machine, I think dishwasher will always be one tick, 100%. On the other side, these were the effects of the GST, but because the sentiment were high, we have seen a high growth in mobile. We have seen a very high growth in laptops. We have seen a growth in washing machines, and kitchen appliances always do well during the season. But coupled with this, I think another phenomenon which we have seen is the gifting segment this Diwali was much better than the previous Diwali. So I think people not only bought for themselves, but even for gifting, they bought a lot of electronics, Bluetooth speakers, mobiles, small appliances, and the likes. The idea is when the festive spirit is on, the consumer sentiment was positive. So I think people not only bought for themselves, but also bought for their family and friends. Overall, a really good Diwali. And the best part is, I don't think so this is going to stop here. The positive sentiment and the GST cut will have a long-lasting effect. I think the rest of the financial year also we'll see a lot of action in our categories, and we'll see much better growth over last year in the coming months too.
All right. Good to hear that, Mr. Gupta. Personally, I was at your outlet in Bandra West, and it was full, and service as always was good. I went and bought a token, micro oven. So good stuff coming in from your staff as well out there. But let's welcome Ms. Bector, the Senior Executive Director at DLF Retail, on the show. Hi, Ms. Bector. Good morning and festive greetings to you, your family, and the entire team. Tell us, what did you observe in the last few days? What were footfalls, say, towards the end in the last couple of weeks or so, that compares with normal averages and in comparison to your expectations? And also, if you could tell us which category saw the highest amount of interest. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning. Well, it has been a very, very good October for us overall. Like Nilesh was saying, I echo that sentiment that 2-3 things have happened right. One is because of the income tax cut, a lot of money came into the hands of people, disposable income, GST rate cut being another one. And of course, we also see the Central Pay Commission having been implemented. these three elements ensured that in the NCR, consumption did rise, and we could see this from September 22nd on. We in DLF had anticipated it, and we created a shopping festival, the DLF Mall Shopping Festival, starting from 4th October. And I must say that the trends have been really good. Coming to categories and footfalls, overall footfall has been up by around 12% year on year, which is, if I look at it from a Q3 to Q3 point of view, we look at a much more robust Q3 as compared to the last financial year. The other element of sales has been on an average in double digits, but few categories have outperformed, of course. One is jewelry. Jewelry did really well, as did, electronics. And this time around, even apparel has bounced back rather well. Last year, we did have an issue with apparel not doing as well as what was anticipated. And as you know, 35% of our, malls do house apparel, and it's an important element for us. Overall, I would say people had a lot more shopping bags with them, A. And B, also, one could see that they were really enjoying the entire buzz around the properties. All our properties were well prepared for the same. The second element is, of course, gifting. Now here in the malls, what we also see is that wedding is a very, very important component for consumption to increase. And this year, wedding is going to be long, and the season's going to carry on till March and beyond. We saw wedding consumption to go up drastically. When I talk about luxury space, we saw Indian designers, their sales on an average have gone up year on year by 30%, which is very encouraging for us.
Sure.
It shows that wedding consumption is also back.
Sure, Ms. Bector, sounds good. I mean, more footfalls, more consumption, and more people visiting the malls, which brings me to the question of what all this means for you. Obviously, I mean, it's not a straight line flow through in that sense. But in general, if the sentiment remains buoyant, will it translate into better rentals? And, what is the rental cycle? I mean, if there's some way of mapping this, say how much or how many million square feet perhaps comes up for rent negotiations over the next 12 months. If you could give us some, sense of what this buoyancy will mean for mall rentals.
Absolutely. That's a good question. So what we do is that on an average in our existing portfolio, we have around 500,000 square feet, which comes into new leases with the deed-ends happening and new leases coming up. There, we definitely think that the rental will go northwards. We have also 3 projects that we are opening. One is the Summit Plaza in Phase 5 in DLF Gurgaon. The second is in Midtown, which is in West Delhi. And the rentals over there, we had made sure is already in sync with the fact that it is going to be at least 20% higher than what we had earlier anticipated. We think that the usual 15% escalation won't hold now. We would at least look at a 20 to 25% escalation over the previous rentals, because the sales are good, the sentiment is good, and we will make sure that the right jewelry, D2C brands, apparel brands, etc., find good projects and good properties, but at rentals that we think is much more fair to the market.
Yeah. 20 to 25%, increase in rentals. Wow, that will definitely drive rental revenues quite a bit, retail revenues quite a bit for DLF, I'm sure, this year. Nilesh, season's greetings to you as well. By the way, ma'am, season's greetings to you as well, of course. Nilesh, the question is, you described this amazing buoyancy around Diwali time, and it's very heartening to hear that. The question is, how long will it sustain? Is there are you now preparing for maybe a post-Diwali lull, or do you think this buoyancy can actually extend because the GST cuts are permanent, and then you move from Diwali to then the Christmas gifting season and New Year and then Valentine's and so on and so forth? So would you expect the buoyancy to continue? And again, some numbers would help. Overall for the year, therefore, would it be realistic to expect, say, 15 to 20% growth?
So first and foremost, I feel I made a mistake of telling the truth of the growth, because if the rentals are going to increase, it's going to trouble all of
That's true.
all the retailers are put back. So I think, see, there's always a lull after Diwali, but what happens is we always compare period to period. So what we see is this buoyancy, as you rightly said, the GST cut is not a one-time Diwali gift by the government. It is basically there to stay. So I think what will happen is the growth is going to be there. So whatever lull we had post Diwali last year, that compared to the same lull will come, but then we'll see a growth of which I expect at least 10 to 15%, if not 20%. And then there is another thing which is very important is categories. The GST cut will lead to the growth in the category. For example, it will lead to a very high growth of televisions, especially the premium, the large screens. So people today, the consumption of TV has increased. For the simple reason is because of the OTT platform. All movies, there's a lot of movies which are being aired directly, premiered on OTT platform. A lot of serials come in, and so people want big screens. At the same time,
this should last.
Yes, so it will last. Second is your dishwasher. Now that's a category which was never in the consideration set of the consumer, except during the COVID period where people wanted to buy because of the issues which we all know. But now I think with the GST cut, this also will lead to one other category which will grow.
Got it.
So what is happening is, and the moment, and this all buying changes the mindset of the people. So it doesn't stay back, okay, he's bought a large screen television, so that's it. Large screen television will lead to him buying a home theater to enjoy the movie experience.
Got it, Nilesh. So I'm so sorry rushing you there, but that buoyancy is lasting in the consumer's mind. It's also lasting in the market. And if the market continues to be very buoyant, it has its own wealth effect as well, right? It all ties in together. I'm afraid we're out of time on this conversation. Thank you so much for joining in. Very, very valuable inputs. Helps us understand the mind of the consumer better.